Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone you love and felt like they were quietly slipping away long before they ever said goodbye? Maybe it was your mother who once lit up every room, now staring out the window without saying a word. Or your father who always had a big appetite, suddenly leaving his favorite meal untouched. No complaints, no pain, just different. At first we tell ourselves it's just age. They're slowing down. Maybe they're just tired today. But what if those subtle shifts weren't random? What if the body, long before its final breath, was already whispering, "I'm preparing to let go"? Here's the truth that no one tells you. Dying doesn't always come with a warning, but the body often sends out small, quiet signals, a year, maybe months, before the final moment. And tragically, most families don't recognize them until it's too late. These aren't loud, dramatic changes. They're soft, gentle, easy to miss, which makes them all the more powerful and important. Sometimes it's in the way someone breathes or doesn't. Other times it's a plate of food left untouched, a favorite TV show ignored, or hands that feel colder than usual, no matter how many blankets you pile on. These moments feel ordinary, but together they tell a story. And here's why you need to hear it. Because when we miss these signs, we miss the chance to be there, truly be there, when it matters most. Not to fix, not to fight, but to love. To make the final chapters gentler, more dignified, and less filled with regret. In today's video, we're going to gently walk you through 8 powerful yet silent signs that someone you love may be slowly saying goodbye. And more importantly, we'll talk about what you can do, not to stop it, but to make sure no one walks that path alone. So if you've ever felt a shift in someone close to you and your heart couldn't quite explain why, this is for you. And if you're watching this now, take it as a sign. You care deeply. You want to show up, not just when it's easy, but when it's needed most. If that speaks to you, please consider subscribing to this channel. We share stories, insights, and heart-centered advice made for people just like you, because aging, caring, and saying goodbye should never be done in silence. Now let's begin. 1, intermittent breathing, cold hands and feet. Sometimes the first sign comes in the quietest of ways. You sit beside them, your spouse, your parent, your lifelong friend, and notice their breathing has changed. It's not something you can explain right away, but it's there. A gentle pause between breaths, then another. The rhythm that once felt so steady, so automatic, now seems uncertain, almost hesitant. It's not gasping, it's not dramatic, but it's different, and your heart knows it before your mind does. The medical world calls it Cheney-Stokes breathing, a pattern where breaths grow shallow, then pause, then return again. It often appears in the final months of life, especially when the body is conserving energy, slowing down to preserve only the most vital functions. It may sound alarming, but in truth, it's the body's natural way of adjusting when the brain begins receiving less oxygen. Alongside that shift in breathing, there's something else you might feel when you reach for their hand. Coldness. Hands that were once warm and familiar now feel cool, sometimes even icy, despite a room full of blankets. Feet lose their color. Fingers grow pale with a bluish or purplish hue creeping into the nails. It's not just the temperature of the room. It's not just poor circulation. It's the body gently drawing blood away from the edges and sending it inward to protect the heart, the lungs, the brain for just a little longer. These changes can feel frightening, especially when you're not prepared. You may rush to find another blanket, another heater, something, anything to make them feel warm again. And that's natural. That instinct to care never fades. But here's what's important to understand. They are not necessarily in pain. They are not necessarily afraid. Often their mind is calm even as the body shifts. They may not speak it aloud, but many feel a quiet acceptance in this stage, like their body is doing what it needs to do. and they are simply following its lead. What they need now isn't panic. It isn't control. It's presence. A hand held without words. A soft blanket gently tucked. Not to fix, but to comfort. A whisper of, "I'm here." Because when breathing becomes shallow and skin grows cold, it may be the body's way of saying, "I'm preparing." And when we recognize that, we don't have to fear it. We can meet it with love. So if you've noticed this in someone close to you, don't rush past it. Stay close, be still, and let love speak in the silence. 2. When the fork stays full and the plate comes back untouched, sometimes it begins with just a few bites left uneaten, then half the plate, then nothing at all. You notice it at breakfast. The eggs they used to love go cold. At lunch, they push the food around, taking polite sips of soup, but finishing little. By dinner, they simply say, "I'm not hungry," even if it's their favorite dish. At first, it's easy to brush off. They're just not in the mood today. Maybe they had a late snack. Old age just messes with appetite, right? But what if it's something more? As the body begins to slow down, really slow down, it stops asking for food the way it used to. The hunger signals, the enzymes, the stomach acids, they all quiet. The digestive system, once a humming machine, now softens its rhythm. The act of eating, which once gave comfort and joy, becomes effortful, sometimes even unpleasant. You might notice they chew more slowly, swallow less easily, or say things like, "Food just doesn't taste the same anymore." That's not your cooking, it's biology. The senses of taste and smell fade. The muscles used to chew grow tired. Even saliva dries up, making each bite feel dry and hard to enjoy. It's not stubbornness, it's not rudeness. It's the body letting go, gently, almost imperceptibly, of things that once brought pleasure. And it's not just about food. Look at the glass beside them. The water sits untouched, the juice still full. They're not drinking because thirst fades too. The body, in its quiet wisdom, starts using less fluid, slowing the kidneys, reducing metabolic needs. But that dehydration can also bring confusion, weakness, and greater risk of infection. It's a delicate moment, a moment where love looks like understanding, not insisting. Because when we push them to eat, beg them to finish, load their plate with more, we're often doing more harm than good. Nausea, discomfort, even resentment can follow. Instead, the gift is in lightness. A spoonful of applesauce, a sip of warm tea, a favorite fruit served cold and sweet, not for calories, but for comfort. And most of all, they need your presence. Sit with them, share the moment, even if there's no meal, because sometimes in the final stretch of life, the most nourishing thing you can offer is not food, but love. 3. When even getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain, there comes a time, sometimes suddenly, sometimes slowly, when the smallest tasks begin to feel like impossible hills. You call out, "Breakfast is ready," but they don't move. You suggest a short walk to the porch, but they shake their head, eyes already heavy, and when they do rise, they move slowly, as if the very act of standing up drains the last bit of energy from their body. A trip to the bathroom becomes a journey. Sitting upright feels like a chore. Even opening their eyes in the morning seems to take effort. This isn't just tiredness, not the kind you fix with a nap or a better night's sleep. This is deep fatigue, the kind that settles in the bones and doesn't go away. You might wonder, are they just getting weaker? Have they given up? Should we push them to move more? But the truth is simpler and much more tender. As the body prepares for the end of life, it quietly shuts down systems that are no longer essential. The metabolism slows. Blood circulation decreases. The lungs don't fill as deeply. Muscles receive less oxygen. Every function of the body begins conserving energy, Not for later, but for now. And with that, energy itself becomes a rare currency, one that must be spent wisely, sparingly. That's why you'll see legs trembling after just a few steps. Why arms, once strong, can't lift a glass of water. Why the person you love now sleeps through things they once never missed. It's not about willpower. It's not about motivation. It's biology. It's the final chapter beginning to write itself, and still, it's painful to watch. Especially when it's someone who was once so full of life, independence, and strength. We want to shake them awake, to remind them who they used to be. We want to believe that if they just try, they can bounce back. But this moment calls for something softer. Something harder too. Acceptance. Instead of asking them to push harder, ask them what would make them more comfortable. Instead of demanding movement, offer companionship right where they are. A smile, a shared silence, a blanket tucked in gently. Because what matters now isn't how far they walk. It's that they don't have to walk alone. If someone you love is showing signs of this deep, unshakable exhaustion, don't see it as giving up. See it as the body's quiet way of saying, I've carried us this far, now let me rest. And let your love answer, I'll stay right here. For when the world outside fades and the inside becomes louder, there's a quiet moment that creeps in, not with a bang, but like a soft curtain closing. The TV is still playing, but they're not watching anymore. The book lies open on the table, but the pages haven't turned in days. The chessboard sits untouched, the pieces still in mid-game from weeks ago. You call out, "Want to go for a walk?" They smile faintly, maybe even nod, but never get up. They're not angry, they're not upset, but something's shifted. This is one of the most overlooked signs that a person may be slowly saying goodbye. They begin to let go of the world around them. It's not sudden, it's not dramatic, but you feel it. That spark in their eyes, the one that lit up during their favorite show or when the grandkids visited, now dims. They begin spending more time in silence, gazing out the window, lost in thoughts they never speak aloud. The conversations grow shorter, the smiles more distant, and at first it might look like boredom, like sadness, maybe even depression. But often, this quiet withdrawal is something deeper and more sacred. It is the body and mind preparing, in their own mysterious way, for the next chapter. There's a natural turning inward during this phase, a spiritual one. Instead of grasping at the noise of the outside world, the person begins to find meaning in stillness, in memory, in solitude. It's as if they're gently packing away the pieces of life, one by one, with reverence, not resistance. You may hear them talk more about the pematum, loved ones who've passed, childhood memories, old music, moments long gone, but now more vivid than ever. Sometimes they speak to people you can't see. Other times they sit quietly, as if listening to something only they can hear. To outsiders, it may seem strange, but to the person on that inward path, it's deeply human. What they need now is not pressure to cheer up or snap out of it. What they need is presence. Your calm, your patience, your hand resting gently in theirs. Because when a person turns inward, they're not shutting us out. They're simply preparing, in a way that's slow, personal, and often peaceful. So if your loved one no longer shows interest in the things they used to love, don't panic, don't take it personally, don't try to pull them back to normal. Instead, meet them where they are. A soft voice, a shared memory, a few minutes sitting together in silence, watching the trees sway outside. That sometimes is the purest form of love. Not pushing them to stay, but walking with them as far as they're willing to go. 5, when the small illnesses just won't go away. It starts with something simple, a cough that lingers longer than it should, a tiny cut on the hand that doesn't seem to heal, a low-grade fever that fades, then returns. At first, you don't think much of us. It's just a cold, a scratch. It'll get better soon. But weeks go by, and it doesn't. The cold turns into a chest infection. The scratch becomes red, then sore, then raw. Another round of antibiotics, another round of fatigue, and slowly you begin to realize the body isn't bouncing back like it used to. This is one of the most telling yet misunderstood signs that someone may be entering their final stretch of life. The immune system begins to fade, and with it, the body's ability to defend, to fight, to recover. In our younger years, the body is a fierce warrior, patching up wounds, burning off infections, bouncing back after setbacks. But as we age, that warrior grows tired. The immune response slows. The skin becomes fragile. White blood cells don't rush in like they once did. What was once a simple cold becomes a drawn-out battle. A urinary tract infection leads to confusion and restlessness. A scrape on the leg takes weeks to scab, if it ever does. You may notice more hospital visits, more prescriptions. You might see pressure sores forming on the back, the heels, the hips, places that rarely used to ache. These are signs that the body is having a harder time protecting itself, even from gravity, even from rest. And for caregivers, this can be heartbreaking. It's natural to want to fix it, to call another doctor, schedule more treatments, try one more ointment, one more pill. But sometimes the body is simply telling us, I've done all I can, I'm getting tired. In these moments, the goal often shifts from healing to comfort, from aggressive treatment to gentle care. That might mean keeping the skin clean and moisturized, turning the person gently, often, offering warm compresses, soft bedding, and soothing words. Most of all, it means being there, because while medicine has its limits, compassion doesn't. When wounds don't heal and colds don't fade, it may not be failure. It may be the body doing what it knows how to do best, letting go one soft step at a time. And in those steps, what matters most isn't what we can fix, but what we can hold. A hand, a moment, a heart. When day and night begin to blur, the sun is high, the house is full of quiet activity, pots clinking in the kitchen, birds chirping outside, a soft hum of life. But they're still asleep. Hours pass, lunch comes and goes, still sleeping. Then night falls, and suddenly they're wide awake. They stir in bed, whisper things that don't quite make sense, ask if it's time to go somewhere, reach out for people who aren't in the room. You sit up with them, tired, worried, unsure of what's happening. They seem calm one minute, then agitated the next. Is it confusion? Is it fear? What you're witnessing is something many families experience, but few are truly prepared for. The body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm, is beginning to unravel. And it's not random. It's not just bad sleep. It's the result of a mind and body that are gently stepping back from the structures that once kept them anchored in time. As we age, the brain's ability to regulate day and night slowly fades. In the final stages of life, this process often accelerates. Melatonin production drops. Neural connections begin to slow. The body no longer reacts to light the same way. Pain, discomfort, medication side effects, or even low oxygen levels can further disrupt the rhythm. The result? Nights become long, restless, strange, and days, once filled with activity and connection, become a series of naps and blank stares. You might notice them dozing off during conversations, sleeping through meals, then waking in the dark, whispering things about old memories, or asking for loved ones who passed years ago. This pattern can be distressing, especially for caregivers. We try to correct it, stay awake during the day, go back to sleep, it's midnight. But often this only creates more anxiety for everyone, because what's happening isn't about discipline or routine anymore. It's about the body entering a new phase, one where time no longer feels linear. What they need now is gentle support, not strict structure. That might look like keeping soft lights on in the room at night to reduce confusion, sitting beside them during their wakeful hours, even if it's 2 a.m., playing quiet music, reading aloud, or just holding their hand, letting go of the shoulds and embracing the moment, however it comes. Because in these moments of reversed rhythms and restless nights, something tender is unfolding. The mind is slowly letting go of the need to stay grounded. It's not always easy to witness, but your presence, even in the stillness, is a powerful anchor. So when the nights get long and the days feel upside down, remember, you don't have to fix the clock. You just have to keep being the light. 7. When the eyes look far away and the words grow quiet, you're sitting right next to them, but somehow they seem miles away. You speak gently. Do you remember what day it is? They pause, blink, then answer with something that doesn't quite fit. Or they smile faintly and turn their gaze toward the window, fixed, unfocused, lost in a place you can't quite reach. It's not that they don't recognize you, at least not always, but the spark is fading, the responses are slower, and the conversations grow shorter, thinner, more fragile. This is a stage many families face with a quiet kind of heartbreak, when the mind begins to retreat before the body does. What once felt like a shared world starts to divide into two. Yours, the world of the present, full of responsibilities, routines, and worry. And theirs, a softer, drifting place of memories, fragments, and silence. At first, it might look like forgetfulness, misplaced names, repeated stories. But over time, it deepens. They may not know what month it is. They might confuse you for someone else, an old friend, a sibling, a parent, or talk about people long gone as if they were just in the room. It's easy to panic in these moments, to correct, to remind, to say, "No, Mom, that's not right." But here's the truth. What's happening isn't confusion out of neglect. It's the brain slowly letting go. Blood flow to certain areas of the brain decreases. Neurons no longer fire the way they once did. The mind begins to prioritize peace over precision. And with that shift, clarity begins to fade. But even in this fading, there is meaning. Sometimes they'll speak of childhood memories with stunning detail, things you've never heard before. Sometimes they'll go quiet, lost in thought, mouthing words you can't quite hear. Sometimes they'll simply sit, eyes wide but far away, as if preparing to cross a bridge only they can see. And what they need in these moments is your calm, not correction, not frustration, just presence. Hold their hand, let them talk. Boa se toma. Easy. Even if it doesn't make sense, respond with warmth, not facts, with patience, not pressure. Because while the mind may be withdrawing, the heart still feels everything. They may forget the date, but they won't forget how your voice made them feel. They may lose the thread of the story, but they'll still respond to the comfort of your smile. They may drift between past and present, but your love anchors them in both. So if someone you love seems distant, quieter, less present, don't assume they're gone. They're still here, just walking further inward. And your presence, even in silence, is what tells them you're not walking alone. 8. When their clothes hang looser and you can't quite explain why. At first, it seems like a small thing. Their pants need a belt now, even though they never used one before. That favorite flannel shirt, once snug and cozy, now hangs from their shoulders like it doesn't quite belong. You might tease gently, "You losing weight over there?" They smile and shrug. "I guess so, not eating any less." And that's the part that makes you pause. They haven't changed their habits. They're still eating, at least a little. So why do they look thinner, smaller, almost like they're shrinking? Unintentional weight loss in older adults is more than a cosmetic issue. It's often the body's way of signaling that something deeper is shifting. You may not see it at first. The scale might not scream alarm bells, but the changes are there. Softer, thinner arms, legs that feel less steady, cheeks that used to be full, now gently hollow, clothing that looks borrowed, not worn. What's happening beneath the surface is a quiet, powerful transformation. As the body begins to wind down, it naturally starts to lose muscle mass. This process, known as sarcopenia, isn't just about strength. It affects balance, stability, and even immune function. In addition, the digestive system becomes less efficient. The body may stop absorbing nutrients like it used to. Underlying illnesses, chronic heart failure, undiagnosed kidney disease, certain types of cancer, can all speed up this process even without showing obvious symptoms right away. And emotionally, it can be just as heavy. Many older adults experiencing this change feel it in ways they can't put into words. They may lose interest in food, not out of choice, but because it simply doesn't taste the same. Or they may feel a quiet sadness watching their reflection shift, their body no longer the vessel it once was. As a caregiver or loved one, it's tempting to rush in with solutions, more food, more calories, more supplements. But the answer isn't always in the fridge. What they may need more than a second helping is your gentle presence. If they'll eat, offer small portions of soft, comforting foods. Things they enjoy, not just things that are good for them. Make mealtime about connection, not pressure. A cozy chair, a soft blanket, a warm bowl of soup and a familiar face. And if their body continues to change, know that it's not failure. It's part of the body's natural way of saying, I'm easing down now. So when the clothes hang looser and the frame grows smaller, don't just see what's missing, see what's still there. A life still present, a soul still glowing, and a heart still deeply loved. If any part of this video spoke to your heart, if it reminded you of someone you love, or even of your own journey, please share a thought below. Just type the word hope to let us know you're here, you are listening, and you believe in showing up with love and presence. Sometimes even the quietest comment can carry the loudest comfort. We often imagine goodbye as a single moment, a final breath, a last word, a closed door. But the truth is, goodbye begins quietly. It starts in the pauses between conversations, in the meals left unfinished, in the distant gaze of someone we love who's slowly retreating inward. And if we're not careful, we miss it, not out of neglect, but out of hope, because hope tells us maybe they'll bounce back. Oh, hope whispers, it's just a phase. And yet, sometimes hope isn't about fixing. It's about noticing, being present, holding steady. These signs, the cold hands, the restless nights, the shrinking appetite, the faraway eyes, are not signs of failure. They are invitations. Invitations to love more gently, to sit in stillness instead of searching for solutions, to make space for grace when medicine has run its course. If someone you love is showing these signs, take heart. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need to be strong all the time. You just need to show up with your whole heart, because in the end, it's not the number of days that matters. It's the warmth we bring into the days that remain. And maybe, just maybe, the most powerful kind of goodbye isn't the one filled with tears or speeches. It's the one where no one feels alone. If this video touched your heart or helped you see something in a new light, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that speak to the soul. And we'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these quiet signs in someone you love, or perhaps in yourself? Leave a comment below. Even just one word, hope, can be a powerful way to say, I'm here and I care. Thank you for being part of this space where love, dignity, and understanding truly matter.